This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
The Portland Trail Blazers have moved to within 2 games of 10th place in the Western Conference after defeating Memphis on Wednesday night. Can they pull it off? We'll talk about that and more, including Anfernee Simons is leading the way, dominating, just carrying this team on his back. And I guess Deni's doing some stuff here and there as well, so maybe we'll jump into that. Anyway, welcome to the Blazer Focus Podcast. I am Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and OregonLive, joined by Craig Birnbach. And Craig, man, you know, I kept hope alive, Craig.
It's alive.
I've been keeping it alive, man. They were 5 games back not too long ago, and now it's 2. And do I think they're going to get there? I don't know, because they still have a tough road ahead. They got Denver on Friday. They got Boston on Sunday, then Cleveland. Woo! That could be dicey, but they're in it, man. They are in it. How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling that everything happened the way you wanted it to happen. They got a lot of help. They beat a Toronto team that just was like, oh no, we might win. Quit. Quit hating. So they beat, they took care of a terrible Wizards team. And then last night, no John Morant for Memphis. Mm-hmm. They played well, let's be honest, that fourth quarter was horrible for both teams. Yeah. I mean, it was, but your boy Simons did what he had to do down the stretch. My guy Deni did what he had, just carried the team in the first half with 26 points and a half, and they got the win. And now they're playing Denver, who just played without Jokic and Jamal Murray. I mean, it's lining up. You got teams getting out the way for them. And what? I mean, I don't know. Who's Cleveland going to sit? Who's Boston going to sit? The East is pretty much set, so there's no real reason for them to play. I mean, Cleveland's got the 1 seed, Boston's got the 2 seed, the Knicks got the 3 seed. It's pretty much,
4, 5, 6 still got something to play for.
Right, but they're playing 1 and 2.
They're all pretty much in, yeah.
Now, I would think Cleveland wants to win just because they're having an historic season, but I'm just saying they're not going to make it. I'm not changing my prediction, but it's there. Everything that you could want has happened. I mean, I thought Toronto was going to win that game, and they were like, oh, Scotty Barnes, don't get up. Whatever you do, don't get up. So, hey, let them play. I mean, it's you might as well, as we said, the dream for the number 1, 2, or 3 picks are dead pretty much. So might as well try to make a play in and get smoked.
All right, so they had an easy little run there that, you figure they're going to win those games, and Dallas has been in free fall. Now I think they've lost 13 of 15 or something like that. Anthony Davis might come back. I don't know why you would bring him back, but maybe they're just desperate to try and get him to play in a safe face or something. I don't know, but he could return. That changes things a bit because Dallas does have the easiest schedule remaining. I did an article on this leading into yesterday. And the winning percentages for their opponents, if I can find it here, Dallas's remaining opponents had a record of 500 on the season so far. And they just lost to Indiana, which clearly is above 500. So the remaining games on their schedule are against teams combined under 500. The Blazers went into last night with an opponent winning percentage of 546 for the rest of the way, and they played a good team in Memphis, so that's going to drop a little bit. And then Phoenix had the toughest schedule. Their remaining opponents, I think, were 600 Can't find it right here for whatever reason, but
they did win last night, though.
They did win, but they beat a Bulls team that was under 500. So here it is. The remaining winning percentage for their opponents going into the Bulls game, and the Bulls are 10 games under 500, I believe, was 612. So rough math, that probably jumps up now to 618, 620 for the rest of the way. Their schedule is rough. The Blazers have a little bit of a dead spot in their schedule. If they can get to that spot and still be within reasonable striking distance as measured against how many games are remaining, that's where they can really make their move, because they have, as I just said, Denver, Boston, Cleveland. Then they go at Sac, at New York, at Atlanta. That's rough. That's a rough next 6 games. But if they can stay in it, they got at Toronto, at Chicago, San Antonio, Utah. That's where you could really pounce and make your move on either Cleveland or Dallas, because I know for a fact the Suns have a tougher schedule during that stretch. Then you got to hope maybe your last 2 games are Golden State and the Lakers. You hope that at least one, if not both, have nothing to play for. Because then Curry and Butler are sitting, LeBron's sitting, Luka's sitting, right? And now you have a chance to go out there and earn a playing spot playing against, a lesser team than the Lakers and Golden State could otherwise put on the court. So anyway, I'm feeling pretty decent about their chances, mainly because Dallas has been in free fall. If Dallas was, Kyrie was still around and AD, they would have run away with her a long time ago. Portland would be chasing, I think, Sacramento instead, and I don't think they would catch Sacramento. So I feel pretty good, man. Like, I think they have a really legit shot. But what's killing them, though, is Ayton. So I've been told there's a very strong possibility that Ayton is not coming back. However, I bumped into him in the hall after a game a couple of nights ago. I'm like, hey, how you doing, man? He goes, oh, I'm good. I go, so what's up? They miss you. He goes, I know, but my next eval is coming up soon. I think I'm going to come back. And I was like stunned, like, really? But he seemed to be feeling like he was going to come back. But who knows what their eval is going to be, right? The organization could be like, oh, yeah, we're going to do an eval and shut you down. But why? If he can play him. Yeah. Are you saving Ayton for the future? I don't know. To me, if you don't get in the plan, the whole thing was for naught. You wasted a shot at Cooper Flagg to do nothing. So if Ayton can play, get his booty back out there and make a run at this thing. So I hope to see him back, because if he comes back in that final week and they're still within 1 or 2 games, they got shot, man.
So once you start talking about the roster and who plays and who doesn't, then my head hurts so much. And then my heart hurts a little.
Why?
Well, because then you're like, where's Grant? And you're literally, I know what you're going to say. Well, you don't want Grant to come back because he's played.
No, those are 2 different conversations. I think Grant, it's just so weird. I think Grant could come back. Ayton's, they're not having, if they had Ayton, I think they'd be in 10th right now.
Well, it's not hard to be in 10th right now based on how many games have been won. I mean,
right, I'm just saying. I'm saying they lost. They were in that when they went 10-1, they were 8-0 in the games he played in, and then he got hurt at Denver, and of course, and since then they haven't been nearly as good. But they miss him. If you get him back the way he was playing, that's a huge deal. Grant hasn't been playing all that well, but I'm less concerned about him coming back because I think he's going to. Whereas Ayton, as I said, I was told he may not.
I was saying, like, so why? What about Robert Williams? What's going on?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't believe he's going to.
I was saying my head hurts because you start talking like that. You're like, is Grant really hurt? Is Ayton really hurt? Is Williams hurt? Like, why aren't you playing?
No,
guys?
I think they're hurt. I do think they're injured. It's just a question of when they come back. I think Williams is legitimately hurt. You are in the running for the play-in. And you were someone was saying the other day, they can still fall to 8th. Okay, so you're gonna try and get to 8th. That's your goal. If your goal now is if the Blazers were to do this, and I don't think they're doing this. If they were to say, you know what, forget trying to get in the play-in, let's try and get 8th best, worst record. I'd be like, y'all soft, y'all suckers, man.
Well, they're definitely not doing that.
Right. Okay, so if that means there's no reason to hold guys out. Right, but that means there's no reason to hold guys out. So that's why I believe these guys are injured. Like, I believe that if Robert Williams were healthy, he'd be out there giving you 20 minutes, because he'd want to win too. He didn't want to. You think Robert Williams wanted to leave Boston to come out here for a rebuilding project? No, he was pissed. I'm sure he'd love to be traded, but he's not tradable. So I'm sure he wants to win. Other guys on the team want to win. Deni wants to win. And it's made it clear he wants to win. He keeps saying it's been a long time since we've been around here. Well, we're with you. So I believe those guys are hurt. It's just a matter of when you're coming back.
And And Chauncey's definitely coaching to win. I mean, there's no doubt.
Chauncey's trying to win.
I mean, like I said, while Toronto's sitting their best player down the stretch in a close game, he's not subbing younger players in. He's keeping Scoot or Sharp sometimes on the bench.
Oh yeah.
He's worried about foul trouble. You don't worry about foul trouble if you're trying to lose. You're like, go get 5 real fast. I don't care. But no, guys get 2 quick ones. He comes out. I mean, Kamara's obviously playing. They're all playing hard. Klingen's playing. At this point, like you said, this is what you did. Your strategy was inconsistent, to say the least, for what you wanted from this season.
Right.
Everyone thought you were Cooper flagging it. Then you put pressure on your coach to win or maybe get fired. And he was like, all right, let's go. And you won. You had an amazing streak. I mean, this all comes down to winning 9 out of 10. Like, it changes everything. If you
10 out of 11.
What was it?
10 out of 11.
10 out of 11. It might have been 9 out of 10. I might be right too.
Yeah, you are right. There was a 9 and 10 in there as well.
I was saying, so if you take 10 and 1 and make it 3 and 8, the whole thing is different.
Oh, they'd be guys limping around all over. Well, not limping, fake limping around all over the place.
But you didn't do it.
Nope.
So now long term, you might have crushed your chances of winning a championship. So you might as well try to get in the play-in. Like, it's absolutely what they should be going for. And it makes the games fun to watch, a little bit. It's not as much fun when, there's nothing fun about watching a Wizards game. I can't lie. I was like, what? What's going on? And when when Toronto's playing a guy 25 plus minutes that they signed to a 10-day, and not their all-star player, that's a problem. Like Castleton, I was looking him up. I'm like, what? Who the heck? Oh, they signed to a 10-day. I can't remember the last time I cared about a 10-day contract. That's back in the Knicks 1980 days.
A lot of people after the game were talking about what happened with Toronto with Scotty Barnes and Jacob Poeltl, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Both the last 6 minutes, yeah. And it was bizarre because Toronto clearly is in the running for, decent Cooper flag odds. But they had won 6 of 7. They were playing really good basketball. And then it just decided in the fourth quarter of the game against the Blazers, now we're going to tank. Well, But for me, at this point,
they took it out of the players' hands.
Yeah,
that's the control they have.
And that's what you're not supposed to do, though. Right. Not in the middle of the game. Just don't play them.
At some point, you have to. Right. No, I mean, I agree. But there was just an investigation of OKC came out that they're investigating the game against the Blazers that OKC won, but they sat their entire starting lineup for no good reason. So they probably concerned about that. They didn't want to get busted for that. So
yeah, but to me, this is just as blatant. There was nothing wrong with them. Now you're just like you're doing it in broad daylight. If you keep guys out, at least you can try. Oh, they were hurt. They hurt. So I looked into the OKC thing. So the game before they played the Blazers, only Chet sat out, and the game after they played the Blazers, all 5 starters. So magically, that one game, all 5 starters were out. Then the next game, they all played. In the prior game, only Chet sat. I mean, come on, that's not even trying.
But
You're
they
basically
won.
telling the league.
But they won.
And okay. I don't know who left this comment, but under Shams' tweet about the investigation, someone responded and said the Blazers should be the ones investigated for losing that game.
I'm just saying, how do you investigate? What's the charge? Winning?
There's penalties for this kind of stuff.
I know, but the argument is we chose the lineup we thought would be best to win the game, and we did.
Yeah, exactly. It was analytics told us that this lineup could win.
Right. We didn't think
our pro.
We didn't think SGA would be good in this game.
How do we get to this point, dude? You can't. Here's the thing. It's all psychological. If the NBA season were 100 games, right, then that would be 100 would be the peak. And so now everyone would dial back to not 85, 90, right? but it's 82. So in everyone's mind, 82 is the max. Therefore, that's viewed as like, oh my God, 82. And then you scale it back. But it's all psychological. There's no reason why 20-something completely coddled, pampered, and ultra cared for athletes can't get off their butts and play a basketball game when that's your profession. And here's my thing. If you're worried about wear and tear, then reduce the in-game minutes. Don't play someone 38, play them 34, 33, 32, 30 even if you want to give them a, quote, night off. Don't make it off. Make it, okay, I'm going to take you out 2 minutes earlier than I usually do, so that at the end of the game, you've only played 30 minutes as opposed to 37. Do that a couple times rather than just sit people completely. Because if I'm an OKC fan and I show up to the game ready to see all those guys play and none of them are playing, I want my money back.
So you asked where it came from and like, how do we get here? And it's all about TV money. It's all about broadcast money. They used to have to care about that ticket holder. They don't have to care as much.
I get what you're saying.
Because the money's the money. And they're paying them so much that they do care about them playing when it matters. But it used to be you had to care so much about your season ticket holders that you coddled them. Like, there's no way 20 years ago the Mavs would have traded Dirk and then raised the ticket prices for season ticket holders. Like, that wouldn't have happened. But here they feel fine doing something like that because they're just like, well, the Celtics just announced they're getting sold for $6 billion. So what do they really care about regular season ticket sales? They don't care if that guy never comes back that's mad because the money's coming. So, and I mean, I'm not an economist, but it feels that there used to be the importance of, heck, when I first got here to Portland, in 2007, I remember not every Blazer game was even on TV. There's like 2 games that weren't broadcast. And I, as a person who grew up in the New York area, the Knicks all their games have been on, but and preseason wasn't always on, right? Because the contracts were different. But now the money comes from different sources. But it is bizarre. I'm always like, if you care that much about injuries, then they wouldn't be allowed to play anything in the summer.
Right.
You'd be like, no, you're not playing any kind of, you're not running full court in the summer. And we all know that these guys play in the summer because they have to.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not playing full intensity. If you're going to get hurt, there's no way to predict a sprained ankle.
Right. If you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. Period. You can't. People get hurt in NFL preseason games. Like, oh, they should get rid of the preseason. Well, like if someone blew out an ACL, they could have blown out their ACL in the first play of the regular season. If it's going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you. It's not happening because of. So I don't know. It just drives me nuts. And again, old head,
that is correct.
Get off my lawn. Michael Jordan played every game. Blah blah blah. I get it. Modern NBA.
Yeah, but it's still ridiculous that you'd sit 5. I mean, sitting 5 guys, you're all 5 starters when they're not hurt should be investigated.
100%.
That is wrong. That is not what but at the same time, what do they care? They're trying to win a championship. In the end, if they win a championship and they think that would help them, they're all for paying. What's the fine? Tell me the number, right? Like, there's just not enough out there. The only way that would really hurt is you start pulling away draft picks, but they can't do that. I mean, that's what they do in the NFL.
They could take draft picks from the Thunder and they won't care either because they've got like, 88 of them. We at? Wait, please take one. We can't sign all these guys. Anyway. Exactly. All right, let's move on to the dynamic duo. So right now, the 1-2 punch on this team is clearly Ant and Deni and Ant, whatever you want to say. Deni just completed his most productive offensive stretch, a 5-game stretch. 137 points over 5 games, shooting 52% from the field, 55 from 3. He also had his best 5-game run of rebounding with 59, and he also threw in 27 assists. The only negative 22 turnovers, but he's so aggressive that sometimes those things happen. Anfernee is also playing extremely well during the stretch. Didn't shoot great last night, but finished with 22 points. In his last however many games, he's averaging, I think, 24. I had it up here now. I can't find it because I'm so disorganized right now. My computer's slow. But anyway, he's had several 30-point nights. His shooting has been money. He's had 4 games during the last 8 or 9 where he made at least 5 threes, or at least 4 or 5 or 6 threes, somewhere in there. So he's playing better. Those two together, can they get him over the hump? Can they get it done? Because you got to have 2 guys out there that you can rely on every night to ball. And right now, save for Anfernee had a really bad game the other day. Who was that? Was that against?
I mean, he had a bad first half.
Game. That was the Knicks game. The Knicks game, he had a horrible night against the Knicks. That's his only really bad game in the last 10 or so. But are these two enough, given how they're playing, to be the 1-2 punch this team needs the rest of the way to get into the play-in?
No, but that doesn't mean just because I don't think they're going to get there. But I mean, that doesn't mean I don't think they're playing great. I mean, I will say that
you're like, no.
I mean, I'm not going to go away from thinking that they're not going to make it. I don't think they're going to make it. I'm hoping they're going to, but I just think it's really hard because it all depends on the other teams, to be honest. Look, if they win out, they get there. It's not, I don't think they're good enough to do that. But I love, as much as Simons playing well complicates things for the Blazers, he's fun to watch. I mean, he had a drive last night, in the fourth quarter when he split them, went left, then right, then up. And I mean, you're like, that's unguardable. And it was an athletic move. It was a strong move. It was an alpha move to quote Coach Billups. Like, he was like, they're not going to guard me. And the first half that Deni had was you can't do better than score 26 points in a half. He was great and he didn't miss. And I think he made his first 7 free throws. What I love about Deni when he shoots a 3, when it's in, because his whole body tells you. Like, he shoots it and he backs up 2 steps, hands down, like he knows when it's in. And when he knows it's not in, he crashes. To try to get the offensive rebound. He is like, sometimes you just see he looks like a young kid on the court with his effort and his facial expressions when he gets fouled, or if they call something, he doesn't agree and he runs over with his mouth open, his eyes wide, his hands out. But again, I'm going to continue to say that to me, that the most optimistic thing coming from this season has been Deni's play. Because still with Scoot and Shaedon, it's too inconsistent. Scoot's been pretty bad other than that. The Knicks game, he can't shoot all of a sudden again. And he hasn't been – his assists have been down. His turnovers have been up. Shaedon went like 1 for against, was it Toronto or what? He was like 1 for 7 from 3 or 1 for 8 from 3. Like, that's not good enough. And down the stretch in most of the games when they win, either Deni or Simons is stepping up. So I'd like to see a little bit of that. But look, they're both fun to watch. And I do wonder, they're doing all this without a real pick and roll partner. Because no one's worried about Klingon offensively. They're doing it
They
without.
got to worry about the pick and pop with WAP though. The pick and WAP.
Yeah, right. I mean, he can shoot, and it's nice to see him out there. I like his effort, but there's a reason why it takes a long time for Billups to call his name on the bench.
He's been balling though.
Yes, but he balled last year at the end of the year. That's how he got a contract.
Yeah, but that was he got the contract early in the year. They gave him the full-on deal earlier in the year. But he played well, but the games didn't mean anything. He's playing well now, and the games are actually meaning something. I mean, he's coming in. He's coming in.
Your definition of meaning something is
they mean something to the players.
To me.
They mean something to the players. They want to win. Your boy Denny's excited.
He is.
Wow. So is Anfernee. Denny's never been to the playoffs.
That's crazy.
It wasn't crazy. He played for the Wizards.
I thought you said Simon's never in the playoffs.
No, Deni. Simons. Yeah. Simons.
Oh, I know. Denny's the only one in the world looking back and being like, thank God I'm not on that crappy team. Exactly. Even though if you're Ayton, you're probably like, Look at the Suns.
So Scoot's last 10 games, 38% from the field, 30% from three, averaging 13 with 4 assists and 3 turnovers. He had that one good quarter, that 18-point fourth quarter against your Knicks. Great game that night. Other than that, not
and he
very
went
well.
4 for 4 from three, including a bank.
In his other games, 1 of 7 from 3, 1 of 5, 1 of 5, 1 of 5, 1 of 6, 2 of 5, 1 of 3, 0 for 4, and then 3 of 5 against at Cleveland. So, yeah, he's definitely been struggling. Anfernee, this month, 27 points, 34-30, 14, 34-32. Then he had the bad night against the Knicks, 6, then 22-30, 22. So he's definitely picked it up offensively. He's playing a lot better. He is, man.
Well, they're
he's
letting him, he's running the show when he's got it because he's not shooting great, right? I mean,
well, this month he's at 45 from the field, 38 from three this month. And
yeah, which is fine.
Dude, 45 and 38 is all-star.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. People have made the all-star with worse than that.
That's true.
Averaging 25 and 3. And what's interesting is that Deni seems to he's so aggressive. He gets out to good starts, but Simons has been mostly closing lately. He
worked out nice.
And he said this earlier in the season. He said, I like to feel things out so I see where things are. Whereas I want him to go out there and just drop 40, right? But he's trying to be a point guard first, and then he picks his spots. And when he gets hot, he can rip off 10, in a nanosecond. So anyway, I think those two have got it going right now. They're playing well together. They've kind of found their groove, and that's you got to have that in this chase. So good for both of them. All right.
Yeah, they're giving him something to talk about because right now, without this, we'd just be talking about who's going to still be on the team. Is Billups going to be the coach, which we'll do eventually, but we can actually talk about the action.
Exactly.
Because it's almost like somewhat living in denial, right? Like the real problems. Let's not talk about that. Let's just
we'll have all off season and get to that stuff. This is fun to talk about. So, okay.
And I'm glad, the crowd, you talk about the fans that go to the game. Like, I'm happy that they're getting to enjoy the games.
Yeah, they're into it too. The ones who are there are definitely catching the fever. All right. So one thing I pointed out last night was that, you're losing Ayton, but Clingan and Reith last night, especially, but the last few nights have been in one way or another combined to produce a pretty good stat line for the center position. So last night they were combined 20 points, 20 rebounds, 4 block shots, and 0 assists. But still, the fact that they're able to, the fact that Reith is really your fourth center option behind Ayton, Clingan, Williams, and Jabari. Jabari's out in concussion protocol, but you can go to Reith and get 13 and 9 off the bench and he made 3 of 5 threes. And the other night against Toronto, when they started a little slowly, because at one point they were down 8 early, and it was really early, but Reith came in and scored 8 points in the first quarter to help them overtake Toronto and take the lead going into the second quarter. So, I mean, that's pretty huge for this team too, aside from Deni and Ant, that at least neither one of them is capable to be completely impactful for 35 minutes, but split it up and do it right. They played 46 minutes, and Chauncey Billups talked about how he's sort of, he's picking his spots with them. He said Edey was dropping on pick and rolls against Clingan, so he got Reith in there to see if he would drop against Reith, because Reith will just drain that three, and almost all of his threes were wide open. No one's thinking about, oh my God, we got to guard that guy, and he's getting open looks. So props to those two for coming through. If they can continue to at least be solid as a duo, then they can survive this without Ayton. But man, if they had Ayton, I think it'd be a different story.
And you forgot to add that they had 17 total fouls last night, and the center position combined for 9 of them.
Getting it done, man. You gotta be enforcers in there.
Don't come in here.
Did you see the one when Reith down there tackled the guy? He fell on his back. It was hilarious.
But what impressed me is Reith. So Clingan can rebound. I mean, Clingan just gets rebounds. I mean, that there's no doubt. But Reith had 9 rebounds in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Which means when Clingan was out, they weren't losing that. Because that's the worry in my opinion, because when Klingen's out there, everyone else knows I'm the second option to get a rebound. Kamani's obviously a really good rebounder. Deni's a good rebounder, but Reith that's where you worry about because he's physically. There's a reason why he is the fourth option, and it's because defensively and strength wise, I think Billups he'd rather have Grant out there, many times. So 9 rebounds in 20 minutes, that's getting it done, and that keeps you on the floor to be able to knock down the threes. And what I love about him is he does not hesitate. Like, he knows this is why I'm in the NBA, because I could shoot this three. So I'm taking it. There's no I'm going to pass it up. Nope. You give me an inch, I'm taking it. And why not?
We must at least touch on the magnificent return of Matisse Thybulle.
Whew, won a game.
Suited up, but did not play in the loss to the Knicks. And Billups said, I hadn't really seen him practice. He practiced once with the Remix while they were at Golden State. They came back, did a few days off. He practiced, and then he got in against Toronto and had 2 rebounds, 2 steals, and the game-winning block shot. At the end of the game, the block, a shot from behind for Orlando Robinson, I think it was.
Some guy on the Raptors we never,
but it was
some dude.
One, the fact that, the thing about him is he's a defensive guy, right?
That's what he does.
He knows the coverages. He knows the defenses. He doesn't have the chemistry with all these guys, a lot of the new guys. Some of the guys he played with last year, clearly, but Deni and people like Klingen. But he's a defensive guy. So, it's almost like if you took a cornerback in the NFL who hadn't played with the guys, but he's a lockdown corner, just say, guard that guy. Play man-to-man, guard that guy, and he's going to be fine. But the fact that Chauncey went to him because they were down 8 or so, and Matisse came in for the first time in the third quarter. And I'm not saying it was all Matisse, but they went on a run.
He was great.
And it was definitely partly Matisse and the energy he brought, and he made a steal in the middle of that. And then in the fourth quarter, game's on the line, Chauncey gets him out there, and he makes a play. And there's a lot of guys who wouldn't have reacted after, the switch. He said something like they were supposed to switch on contact, but he didn't know, and then there was no switch, and then he ended up far away from Robinson and then realized it, but then just boom, he recovered, got to him, blocked it from behind to end the game. And it was just so Matisse, right? Then he comes back the next night, 4 of 9 from the field against Washington, scored 9 points, had 5 steals.
Yep.
And another block shot, excuse me. And then last night, 3 points, 11 minutes, another steal and an assist, 6 rebounds. It's just, I honestly did not know how he was going to fit because of the rotation, and he might not be playing as much if Grant, were around, et cetera, et cetera. So clearly there's been, some minutes there to fill. But man, and then Kamara has missed the game as well in there, but he came back last night. But man, that guy, he just is what he is. He's just a defensive menace. And he's huge. And getting him back like that and having the ability to throw him on someone else when Kamara's guard maybe the best player, to throw him on maybe the second best player, and have those two be as disruptive as they can be, just a huge, it's almost, I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, but I think it's a huge deal, man. I think because you're going to need defense to try and pull this out, and adding him is huge.
Yeah, right now I think that he fits because there's playing time available. And he is going to do what he does no matter where he is, no matter when you put him in, no matter what team he's on, what league he's in, that's what he's going to do. Like, if you sent him to Europe, he's playing in Turkey, he gets you 13 points, maybe a few more points, but he's still going to block 4 shots, rebound, steals. He knows what he is, and he that's what his job is, and that's what he studies, and that's what his skill set is. And he's cool with it. I mean, going forward, is he repetitive? Probably. Do you need Kamara and Thybulle? Probably not. Not on a good team. It also makes you frustrated because if Thybulle were playing, if Matisse had played, you might have been able to make a trade. Because he is somebody wants him for 11 minutes to win a game. to lock somebody down and when you got enough offense other places. Kamara is at this point, it's the definition of 3 and D. On the broadcast, I heard the numbers. Like, he's made it's a dunk or a three. He's made 4 shots from the mid-range all season. It's something insane. But he's knocking down them. He's knocking down the threes. He has improved so much. And it's not just the percentage, it's how it looks. And Thibel's not a 3 and D. He's a D. He's defense, and he's athletic enough to dunk. He's smart enough to, he's not incompetent on offense, but he's not a 3 and D guy. But he clearly, I don't think that Robinson was going to make that shot, but it didn't matter. He blocked it. He won it. And what better way? It's like a buzzer beater on defense.
Yep.
To get that excitement, you block the shot on a game winner. You get to, as a defensive player, that's when you get to give people jump on you at the end of the game, because Matisse is not shooting the 3 unless everything's gone wrong at the buzzer, right? He's not option A or B or C or D. If he's out there, he's E. And if it's on offense, he's F because he's on the bench. So this is his chance.
He's E.
I don't even think E is 5, but he's not on the floor if you need a game winner.
He's not on the floor. You're right.
So to me, I was like, that was awesome. What a way to come back. And what a great block, too. It was
perfect, clean. Just get out of there.
A lot of people are scared.
And Robinson was like,
well, who that? Who that?
What?
Lightning? But a lot of guys are scared they're going to foul. And they do foul. But he's like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
I do this.
All right, I have a fact of Fentress.
Hit it.
We're in with
this.
Is
it true or is it made up in Fentress's mind? Fact of Fentress.
Why you gotta say it like that?
That's I just came up with that. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Made up in Fentress's mind. Okay. I believe the Blazers definitely have a chance to reach the plan. Clearly, they're only 2 games back. I'm not prepared to say they're going to yet because they face some tough games coming up. But I'm going to say this. They will, at one point along the way, at least be tied for 10. Can they hold on? I don't know. But here's why I say this. Again, Dallas is in free fall. I think they've lost 13 of 15. Anthony Davis might come back, who knows, whatever. But listen to Phoenix's schedule. It's almost unfair. Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston, which is the Blazers have Denver, Boston, Cleveland coming up. But still, then they go at Minnesota, home Houston, at Milwaukee, at Boston, at Knicks, home Warriors, home Thunder. Then you get the Spurs at home, then at Sacramento. That is wicked.
So they're probably only going to be favored for the last 2 games.
There's a good possibility that Sacramento won't have anything to play for that night. So those last 2 games, yeah.
But they're home games for them, right?
It's at Sacramento. Home Spurs at Sacramento. But if Sacramento sits everyone but if Sacramento's done, then it may not matter. But, dude, that's crazy. And it's not just winning teams. You're talking about Cleveland, Milwaukee twice, Boston, Minnesota. These are contenders. Knicks, Golden State. These are teams, Oklahoma City. These are teams that have legit either high-end contenders or legit chances to make major noise in the playoffs. Boston twice, and Milwaukee twice, that's unfair. So there's going to be a window in there where if the Blazers can steal couple wins against winning teams, and then that little soft spot where they have Utah, the Bulls, San Antonio win, there's their chance to make up that ground, I believe, and at least tie this thing. Can they hold on? I don't know, but I do believe that at some point they're going to be tied for 10th.
I will say...
So you didn't know Phoenix's schedule was like that, and now you're rethinking this thing. Yeah, now you're rethinking this thing. That's what I'm saying, man.
I still don't think they're going to do it, but I think that I have to lean toward that being closer. It's not ridiculous. It's not made up in your mind. There's a chance. So I'm going to rule it's fact because it's not insane. I still don't think it's going to happen,
Wait, are you insinuating? Are you insinuating that things made up in my mind are often insane? Is that what? Or am I being too sensitive? I don't want to.
No, I'm sure I'm fine with that. But here's the thing. Here's what I know about you. You believe it so much. You like. It reminds me.
Usually it comes true though. That's my genius.
No, it doesn't always come true.
Are you crazy? The list is insane, bro. I'm gonna do a podcast once on just the most insane things I've ever come up with that came true. But go ahead.
I've been saying it always remind you when you talk sometimes, and I see the total belief. It reminds me of the Seinfeld episode when George Costanza tells Jerry right before he's going to have to take the lie detector test to try to prove that he doesn't watch Melrose Place. It's not a lie if you believe it's true. Or if you believe it's true.
It's not like that. A falsehood if you're Fentress and you believe it's true.
Right. I'm like, I don't. Like sometimes people are like, how do you Fentress, he's so argumentative. I'm like, but he doesn't think so. He just thinks it's fact. It's like sky blue. And you'd be like, well, that's really an optical illusion based on, no, blue, move on.
There's a few times when I've said my opinions were fact and people are like, you don't know the difference between fact and opinion. I go, no, I know the difference. I'm just telling you that my opinion is so right. It's basically a fact.
There you go. It's not.
And my success rate when I say that, though, is like 90%.
It's not opinion if you believe it's fact.
Exactly. Hey, me and George right here.
I would do that.
Just summer of Fentress. Anyway, all right. That was great. That was good stuff. All right, man. We'll see what happens. This weekend is going to be rough, but keep hope alive, baby.
Keep hope alive.
And we'll talk more next week. Take care.